of it.
Bloody hell. Well, sure, fair enough.
I know they have like the Naked Festival, where they have
Uh,
like all the guys that they running around in their what we call a findoshi, which is basically like a kind of what a sumo guy wears. It's basically just stuff wrapped around your junk. You know, looks
yeah,
like
I've
a
seen.
thong. You know,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
basically we call it a findoshi, and they basically run around. And it's cold too when they do it. It's like fucking in October or something. And all they do is like drink sake and they run around and they carry these big like kind of like shrines that weigh quite a bit, and they'll have like 15 or 20 guys carrying the shrine. They run down the street and they drink, and you know, pretty weird. A lot
Yeah.
of people get hurt,
I'm
houses get
surprised.
hurt, and fucked
I'm,
up
su-
and stuff.
I'm surprised you haven't heard of the Cock Shrine one.
Well, well, they got
Anyway,
all kinds of weird shit depending on where you go in Japan. There's little areas that have their own little things that they've done over the years. It's
uh,
probably some little small. It's probably not something that's celebrated over like all of Japan. It's probably like some little, prefecture area.
got you, got
Yeah.
you. What was the topic for today, then?
Um, I was hoping True Sherm would show up, but he went to sleep. I was on his live hangout. We were going to talk a little bit about Prince,
Oh, okay, yeah.
and then we were going to talk a little bit about a couple of things that I had found. Um, let's see. Damn it. Um, I think you commented on one of them. One of them was a girl that got beat up in a high school bathroom. She was a 10th grader. Um, she
She
got beat
died.
to death basically for they were having a fight over a boy, and she was a 10th grader, so, which would have made her about maybe 16, 15, 16 years old. And a group of girls got together and jumped her and beat her in the bathroom while they were fighting over this boy. And they say that she hit her head on the sink. That's what the other girls said that was in the bathroom. What probably happened was they smashed her head onto the sink
Well, definitely.
or pushed her into the sink, something like that. I didn't want it to be, but I was hoping it would turn out to be that it was a trans girl, and that they were trying to like beat her up, because she was in the girls' bathroom or something, because that would make kind of like a good story. But obviously, it wasn't. It was just a typical girl thing where they get overzealous over a boy, decide to beat each other up over some fucking high school kid, kill somebody over it.
Well, I mean, they'll say it was over a boy, but I know that most women, when it comes to matters of the heart, has nothing to do with a boy or the guy. It's got something to do with their insane egos or just outdoing another woman. You know,
Yeah,
because I'm sure in a couple of weeks' time it would have been another guy.
yeah.
You know,
He's
or
my
someone.
he's my boyfriend because I look hotter than you. I'm cuter than you, so he's my boyfriend. No, you're no, you're not. I'm cuter, and then punches get thrown and that
These
kind of
these
bullshit.
and we've both agreed that these women now, thank God for the internet, but it just seems that a lot of people are still slow to grasp what's going on. A lot of these women now, they've got bigger testicles than a lot of guys. I mean, they've got hairs in their testicles. Their testicles hang on the outside, and these
Yeah,
women will bottle you, they'll cut you, they'll box cut you, and it's just
yeah,
insane. And a lot of women that are older or a lot of women that don't participate in such tomfoolery, they're not going to speak up about it. So that's making the situation much worse.
yeah. I think that's typical for most of the stuff that's going on right now. Is women don't really talk about much of it, and I think that's what keeps it going. I think a lot of women are starting to get tired of the feminist bullshit, and they're actually speaking up, and these feminist women are still trying to get them to stop talking about it, and they're like shaming them But a lot of these girls are starting to realize, like, if I go to college, I'm not going to find a boyfriend or a husband or anybody, because that's what they want to do when they go to college. Most women, they want to find a husband or a boyfriend. There's no guys in college anymore because they can't get like scholarships and they can't get student loans, and a lot of the teachers that teach the subjects they want to learn are all females, and they don't know shit about what they're teaching. And the guys get into the classes and decide they don't want to be there, and they leave, and they go do classes like mechanics or being a chef or a welder or something like that, and they're in college for a year or two, and then they're gone. And they're in college getting like a BA or a master's or something like that, and it's all women, you know. And they're starting to realize, like, it's because of feminism, and these women are starting to get pissed off and speaking up, and that's what needs to happen. That's the only way it'll stop.
I mean, I see where you're coming from. I haven't really, apart from a few women here and there speaking up about it, but a lot of these young ladies or whatever, they can't see anything. They can barely see what's in front of, they can barely see what's happening right there and then, let alone what's happening down the line. They can't put it together. I had a conversation just this weekend, not this weekend, on Thursday. I had to do, help a friend out over there in central London, and there were a couple of, hot 21-year-old girls there, and I was having a conversation with a couple of them, and I was sending one of them some info on Instagram, and she started getting offended at the information I was sending her, thinking that I was some sort of misogynist. I said, no, either way, I don't really give a damn. But what's going on is you're having problems with relationships because you can't see the fact that there's a bigger game that's being played here. And because you can't see there's a problem, you want to be able to address it. So a lot of these young ladies, they can't address anything. They haven't been taught to address anything. And what will happen is they'll find themselves in their 30s or in their 40s saying the same old shit. There's not a lot of good men around and all of this sort of stuff. So
Yep.
it's quite funny because it's I find it quite funny. A lot of women don't, but that's their problem. They should do something about it. They should start putting themselves in a position of realizing that men are the underclass. Men are the ones that are being used and abused and marginalized.
Oh, but they can't admit the truth.
Well,
That's the
exactly.
problem. Yeah, something else that I found as well is it says I have found an article on RT. RT
Uh-huh.
did the study on this, and it says U.S. suicide rates hit 30-year high. Female rates spike while male rates are majority. And it's saying basically the suicide rates in the U.S. went up by 24% from 1999 to 2014, according to a new federal report, with the top increase seen in females ages. This is where it gets like, this is where I hope people are listening. The increase in women is between 10 and 14 years old. The increase in males is between 45 and 65. 4. That's the years when a man's going to end up getting divorced, losing his kids.
Correct.
When the kids get out of college, go to college, and his wife finally tells him, like, "Hey, I've got a black boyfriend. I'm leaving your ass." You know, um, these are the ages when that kind of stuff happens to most men, at the age of 45 to 64. And these are when the guys are maybe getting fed up with having to pay for the wife's extracurricular activities with another man, and they decide to say, "Fuck it, I'm dying. I'm going to end it." And then it says on the deal here, from 1999 to 2014, suicide rates increased for males and females of all ages between 10 and 74. And the NCHS revealed Friday only those ages 75 and older saw a decline in suicides in that time period. And they're trying to say that there's a spike in the female rate, but what I see on the chart is that there is a 2.5% increase in total, but it looks like the females are 4% it went from 4.0% to 5.8%. So the females only have a 1.8% increase, whereby the males have a 17.8 at the beginning of 1999, and then in 2014 are 20.7, which means they went up by almost 3 points. So they're trying to say that it's a big deal because the women, there's a spike in the women when there's only a 1.8%, but there's a 3% spike in the men. But let's not talk about that.
And the part that you spoke about, the age range with these women, what was it actually?
10 to 14.
Well, that's quite interesting. 10 to 14. That would be the because it's not other men that are bullying the girls at that age, it's other women.
Uh-huh.
Because that's interesting. A couple of months ago, I told you about this. I went to a friend of mine. His son was just turning 1, and his missus friend was there. His cousins were there. His second cousins, and one of them is about 14, I believe. And she was talking about how a few girls at school were bullying her, and that she's been doing the right thing. And one of the females that were there was saying, don't let these bullies get you down. These bullies are weak. At the end of the day, while you're progressing in life, they're at home sleeping, having you on their mind, and they're really angry. And I thought to myself, no, this is not true. These girls are out there trying to destroy lives at that age. But this older woman was giving a younger girl the wrong information. The wrong information and right advice to say to these girls, listen, if these girls come at you and try to bully you and try to make an example of you, you beat the living dog shit out of these women, because it starts at age 10 to 14, as this reporter said, but then it goes all the way to adult life when you're working. And one of my friend's mothers told me yesterday she was being bullied at work. She's in her 50s. Men and women were doing this. So it's a situation, that report there, I like the sounds of it, because the 10 to 14 age group, that's women against women. And
Yep.
later on in life, it's women against men yet again. So we have a problem, a massive problem. Houston, we have a problem. These women, whew, I mean,
Yep.
it's very interesting. Very interesting.
Well, I've been talking about it for a long time that, women want to act, and especially people in general, it's a systemic problem. People want to act like women are frail and we got to take care of the women and let's white knight for the women and protect them and stuff like that. But in reality, women are some of the most vicious people on the planet. Like if a guy's pissed off at you and he decides he's going to fight with you, he'll probably punch you in the face a couple times. It might break your nose and bust out a couple of your teeth, but he's going to stop, and he's either going to be like shaking your hand, or he's going to tell you to fuck off and don't talk to me again. You know, a woman will like literally attack you and punch you like 100 times until you like are falling on the ground trying to protect your face, and then she'll start looking around for shit to like throw at you and like pound you in the face with it and fucking stomp on your head and kick you in the balls, and they'll just keep going until they're tired and or you're dead. They
Yeah.
don't know how to like stop. They're
No,
vicious.
they don't. They don't. They don't know how to stop. And most people that think that this is a joke or this is an over exaggeration, this is why I don't really engage people anymore. When people say, "Oh, you're being general," blah blah blah. Yes, in fact, I am being general based upon the individual cases that I've seen personally, and based upon the trajectory of what's going on, and then based upon the programs that these women are watching that support aggression by women. I mean, all someone has to do is tune into an episode of the Bad Girls Club, or tune into any episode of, I don't know, Mafia Wives or Basketball Wives or whoever's wives, and you see the pure debauchery nature of some of these women. But yet again, these women are doing it to each other. These programs are for women, and you see how a lot of the men there are nothing more than suckers, and they're being abused. I mean, what program was it that I just saw recently? Yeah, I was watching Amy Schwimmer, a show.
Oh, that Schumer, Amy
Yeah,
Schumer.
Schwimmer. Her first episode just came out a few days ago, so I was watching it. So she was interviewing this guy and his wife. Oh, we've been married for 20 years, you know, but sometimes, she gives me a pity fuck. And it's just like, what? And he's, yeah, and I'm thinking, what a life. What a life. She's the best thing that's happened to me. She doesn't want to have sex with me sometimes, but she does give me a pity fuck. But I love her. And this woman is not hot at all. She's old and frumpy, not saying that's a bad thing. She didn't keep herself in, prime condition.
Oh,
But
that's what I
yet
thought.
again, yet again, and a lot of guys, whoever's listening to this, what I'm saying is not a negative thing. What I'm saying is positive because I've identified it. Shi-Nu has identified it. We've all identified these things. Stop being simps and manginas and qualify these women. Qualify anyone that's in your life. Jesus, have a backbone. God.
This is hilarious. It always seems that this is the case, that we want to focus on women, and it says that the funding in this report are extremely concerning, said Nadine Kossel of the Emory University Research and Forum. She's obviously the one that did that, and she's the American Psychology Association, according to the Associated Press. So this Nadine Coswell is the one that did it, and it says the rates of suicide among women is climbing at a rate faster than men.
Ugh.
Now, if you have a second grade education in math, you should be able to tell that 4.0 to 5.8% is smaller than 17.8% to 20.7%. So they're trying to say that the rate of women killing themselves has rose more substantially than men. Although men have killed themselves at like 100,000, whereas women have only killed themselves at like 10,000. But women are killing themselves, and it's a problem. Fuck men, right?
Well, I mean, exactly.
And
Exactly.
it even says,
17.
however, males 2.7% still hold a suicide rate that is triple the rate of females at 5.8 suicide.
I mean, what's going to happen? I mean, I don't. The thing about me now is I'm so far gone being like I'm just cynical about all of this stuff because I don't see the importance of talking to people that want to continue the lies and the hypocrisy.
Yeah,
Do you see where
it
I'm coming
really.
from?
I broke my computer last week actually because I was on Nadia's uh, on Nadia's channel, and I was talking about male circumcision and talking about that was the most pernicious form of the matriarchy. You know, that the only reason why somebody who's not Jewish and is even an atheist would circumcise their son is because they know in the future, most women tell men this, that they wouldn't date a man who is not circumcised. A lot of women are like, it's gross. I don't want to date a man that's not circumcised. So men will cut the penis of their son so that later on in life they can be married and have kids and all this stuff. So they're doing that for women. So they're mutilating their children for women's pleasure later.
Yes,
You know,
and I can
that's a
I can
systemic
attest to
problem.
this. I have a female friend of mine. She started going out with a guy. The guy does everything for her. She has never once given this guy a blowjob. Why, do you ask? She's not the first time she's been, out of the blocks with sex and whatever. She said why. She goes, it's uncircumcised. It looks gross. I am not going to give this guy a blowjob. But yet again, she had another guy that she'd seen. This ruffian of a guy. She was giving him blowjobs, all sorts of tricks. He was coming around, laying the pipe down, ruining her, going about his business. He had other women, and she loved every moment of it. But now she has a guy that wants to conform to her. He's uncircumcised. And I said, listen, you can't keep going out with this guy, using and abusing this guy. Be honest with this guy. The guy wants to marry you. Either tell the guy, listen, I don't, the reason why I'm not giving you a blowjob is because, you know, you're uncircumcised. I don't like the look of it. Get circumcised and let's move forwards, or forget about it. But she didn't do any of this stuff.
Yep.
Yet again, the trickery. But it's a-okay. And you know, people might be hearing me. I have no problem with a lot of these things. I totally have no, because it's not my business. I'm just an observer. I just look at it and I call it for what it is. Hypocrisy, and it's ill. It's bad. But yet again, who is at fault here? The people that participate in it and they don't take a stand, or me or yourself that are just basically giving a commentary on factual situations.
Yeah. Yeah, I was in that other hangout and was talking about that. That and this guy, one of the guys on there was, he had to flagellate himself for the golden uteruses that were on there. So he was like, "Oh, I can't, you believe there's a matriarchy?" And he was laughing about it and stuff. And I was like, "Yeah, there's a very pernicious systemic problem going on in the U.S." And it has to do with the fact that every time they talk about female genital mutilation, they're talking about Africa. And in America, we have every day hundreds of thousands of little boys get their junk cut, and nobody cares.
And the thing about it is, even this program called I think Broad City, these two Jewish girls, and they did a skit about this. And I already knew this. This is a Jewish thing where the rabbi, circumcises the boy, and sometimes they suck on the end of the boy's penis, which is just insane. But it's all coming out here. But it's like, there's nothing said about this because this is man on man, man on boy. There's nothing, I mean, for crying out loud.
Well, I talked about it earlier in the other hangout that I was in with True Sherm. You notice, like, it's always a bad thing for men to want to be a woman. That's how could you want to be a woman? I mean, like, oh my God, so that's not allowed in society. And do you notice that, like, all of this bullshit that's coming out about bathrooms and everything, it's always about men and women's bathrooms. They never say anything about transgender female to male transitioners that are in male bathrooms with male boys, because that's not a problem. It's only a problem that men are wanting to go into women's restrooms, and nobody sees the hypocrisy there.
Well, they wouldn't see the hypocrisy because there are so many layers there. There are so many layers. The first time I ever encountered a mixed bathroom was when I went to Sweden many years ago. And I just found it bizarre. I just found it bizarre because I felt that it's bad enough when I'm in a male public toilet and there are men there and we all have the same thing. I don't really like close proximity to people, even at school. I just didn't like it since I've been a little nipper. But it was even worse when I was in Sweden and you're having women right next to me. Because I'm like, Jesus, I wasn't trying to sneak look at these women's, vagines or their boobs. Jesus Christ, I've seen more, more for a lifetime. I've seen it all. But I just thought, wow. But there's so many layers that don't take into consideration men's feelings or a man's point of view. Which,
like, we don't have to worry about the boys, and like, it's all bullshit because, like, what about, like, there's lesbians? So, what about lesbians? Like, they have lesbians. They talk about, we don't want boys in the girls' locker rooms. Well, a lot of transgender boys are actually attracted to men, so they're not going to be attracted to women anyways. But then what about the lesbian girls that are in the bathroom with the girls? Well, now they're attracted to girls, so what about that? And they're like, yeah, but that's not a problem.
Okay.
It's only a problem because the transgender girl is there and she has a penis. It's
I
like
mean,
it's stupid. It's
I
stupid.
mean, what one of the worst things I've ever experienced is I took a trip to Atlanta a couple of years back, and I was with this female friend I was talking about, and I've always, you probably heard it or you haven't. I spent maybe about 4 or 5 years in and out of strip clubs. I had a best buddy of mine. All he ever did was bang strippers and whatever. So I started learning about women from a very early age, even before this. But anyway, the point of the fact is, in the UK, you can't, when you're in a strip club, depending on what sort of strip club you go to, you can't put your hands on these women. You just can't do it, right? But
Same
when I
way in
was
America, you're
right,
not allowed to touch them.
yeah,
They
but
can
in
touch
some of
you, but you're not allowed to
some
touch
of the
them.
strip clubs that I went to in Atlanta, Magic City, because I wanted to see what the fuss was all about with their big asses, with their junks and their trunks or whatever. But you went over there, and it's like the men are not allowed to touch the women, but you're having women perving, grabbing the women's asses, putting their face in their ass. And I was like, Jesus Christ, these women are just being allowed to do whatever. And they're trying to, postulate that men are the ones that are doing all of this sort of shit. So I started to talk. I was talking to one of these strippers. I said to her, "Oh, it's me. Come over here." She goes, "Oh, where are you from?" It's me, London. It's me. Is that ass real? She goes, "Of course it is. It's me. Get the fuck out of here." She goes, "Yeah, you can grab my ass." It's me. Yeah, yeah. So I started grabbing her ass. The girls that I was with were grabbing her ass. Guess who stopped me from grabbing this woman's ass? This fucking mangina that was in his 50s or 60s that had a picture of his wife on the phone and it was paying for me and my friends lap dances. Oh, you can't put your hands on these girls. I said, dude, she told me to grab her ass. You're not a security guard. You're not a bouncer. She said, I like the sound of your voice. You're very cute. Grab my ass. But yet again, those other women in this place who's grabbing these women's ass all sorts, and I just thought the hypocrisy is too much. Hello, Richard. Is that Richard?
Yeah,
I can't
can't
hear him.
hear. Yeah, I
It's,
can't
it's,
hear him.
it's silent. What's going on with the mic? You sort out your headphones, mate. You need
Yeah,
to get new pilot headphones. New pilot headphones.
I'm
Evening.
trying to sort it out.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, yeah, that was
Yeah.
something I noticed. Actually, my father owned a bar, and we would, and I did it here as well. I would have female, strippers come in, and female strippers, they would always talk about how the guys were nasty and all this kind of stuff. And then we would have like male strippers come in. And when the dudes would come in, these girls would be grabbing their cocks and they would be grabbing their ass and they would be trying to pull their dick out of their pants and they would be trying to fuck them on stage. And that's something that you would never see the guys do. Guys would never do shit like that because they're not assholes. And women just
Can you guys hear me now?
don't. Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
cool. Yeah, women just don't have that kind of like. I don't think they ever learn that little block
No. No,
when
they
they're in
don't.
school. They don't. Nobody tells them like to respect men. They're
No.
only
I
told
mean,
to respect women. You know.
they can pretty much get away with anything in that department.
Yeah, yeah, and that's why you'll see that. Women, when you get women in like a situation where there's some guy dancing around with his junk and stuff, they will do all kinds of nasty, perverted shit, and
Well,
then they'll turn around and say men are the bad ones.
well, let me say this to you again. I've experienced this. The same. It just seems that I've experienced so much. But I was about 27. My cousin had a club. He was a club promoter, and like, I've got a bit of a good body on me. Handsome chap or whatever. So he used to want me to come in to like, do like a Valentine's Day thing. I'll come in with, trousers, never boxers, because or thongs, all of that weird shit, not for me. So I'll go in there in a mask and a dicky bow tie, I'll have a female girl to oil up my body, which they always liked. And then what will happen is as soon as I stepped into the club, mass hysteria. The
Yeah,
women, I've got pictures. The women were, and I just thought, fuck. I mean, what's the big deal? To the point where many a times afterwards, women will come up to me. come back to our dorm room, because they were in university. Come back to our dorm room. 2 or 3 women. Oh, please, stay the night, do this. And I'm just like, no, no, I'm not interested. But yeah, you're right. And a lot of these women are hound dogs.
Mm-hmm.
They're crazy.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, they always talk about men use women as kind of like a, just another notch on the belt. But that's all women think of as men. Men are just
Yes.
another notch on the belt, Like I
Yes.
heard some
Yeah,
girl
exactly the
talking
same.
on Nadia's hangout, talking about she was you know, she wanted to like screw as many guys as she could, and she wasn't really wanting to settle down. But once she got to that point, she was gonna, there was this one guy that liked her, and maybe she'd end up with him. And I'm like, so you're gonna fuck like 100 guys, thousands of guys, and then when you get tired and your box is all knocked the fuck out, then you're gonna go get married to some dude. It's like, what makes you think he's gonna want you after your box is all knocked out?
He will want her, because the guy's probably a
Time's up. I'm
moron.
already worn out.
Exactly. It's like, I don't want that shit. I don't want
No,
some chick like
he
that.
will. He will. They will want her. And this is the thing. And I tell a lot of men and women, and a lot of women, they can't argue this point because I've documented it on my channel. I've got more documentation. It's irrefutable. When it comes from another woman, it's irrefutable. The fact of the matter is, women haven't been brought up or taught that the world is outside of them. The world lives in their vagina. Female friend of mine just said it on the last video that when she was at college, she thought that her vagina was made of gold.
Yeah.
When you have a thought process like this, a lot of guys want to get the asshole. Don't get the. It's just the fact of the matter. You've got to know the facts. Know your terrain. If you're going into war, you better know your fucking terrain. You better know who you're dealing with. And women, it's not a bad thing. I'm speaking passionate. It's not a bad thing. I don't care. Women are the perfect tool for destruction because most men don't see it coming. They don't. What could someone say when a woman says, I was in college, I was fucking men because I thought men were bastards. Now I'm in my 30s, I'm trying to find a guy. After you've been ran through.
Yeah.
I mean,
Exactly. Yeah, they hit the wall. It seems like they're hitting the wall earlier because a lot of guys are just kind of figuring it out, and a lot of older guys that used to date, younger women that might be in their 30s and they're in their 50s or something. Even those guys are like, no, I don't want none of that.
not worth it. It's not
Yeah,
worth it.
yeah, and they're starting to realize they're starting to hit the wall younger and younger. They used to hit the wall around like 36, 35. Now they're hitting the wall even younger because lots of guys don't want anything to do with them.
Oh yeah, I'll say that from my vantage point, from like 21, 22 now, these girls are hitting the wall. God Almighty, because
Yeah,
these girls are having so much, and the thing about it is, they just don't like it when you call them up on it.
yeah,
They don't like it. But I say to them, listen, I'm not trying to fuck you. For crying out loud, what could I do with you anyway? Number one, you know all that. Number two, mentally, I mean, come on. We've got to have something to talk about. I'm all
yeah.
about the money. I'm all about the success. You haven't got that. You're still deciding what sort of shoes that match your dress. I mean, give me a fucking break.
Well, a lot of women don't have anything going for them except the fact that they're a woman.
Yeah,
Well done.
So
Exactly.
yeah.
and
Pretty much.
you,
That's the way it is.
I mean, they ride on the expectation that, yeah, all of these guys, they want me because I have a vagina. Deal with it.
Yeah, and that's all it is. That's what's sad is most women, especially now, they used to have some stuff to offer back in the 50s and 40s and stuff like that. They used to actually have something that guys might want. They would take care of the house and they knew how to cook, and you might have a wife that's a really great fucking cook, and you were really proud to bring friends over because she'd make some food, and the friends were like, God damn, this girl can cook. She dressed nice, she looked nice, she took care of herself, she did something for you. Now these girls are like, fuck that. I'm not going to do anything for him. He's got to love me just the way I am, with hairy armpits and a bush in my fucking pants. And, if he doesn't like that, then tough shit, he's got to deal with it because I'm a woman and I'm strong. And they got all this fucking shit going on, and they don't want to do anything for a man anymore. and they think that we're
But
supposed to just put up with that.
I think part of the reality is a lot of them can't even anymore. I mean, most people can't even cook nowadays.
Yeah.
Exactly, and it's a societal thing. And it's funny you mention this because Paul Joseph Watson, I just saw a video from him. It came out possibly 2 weeks ago or something, where feminists is now saying, they have chlamydia, sexually transmitted disease, and having a sexually transmitted infection doesn't mean I'm less than a woman. And it's thinking, Jesus
Wasn't
Christ.
that something that started on Twitter or something like that?
Yeah, suppose I'm not on Twitter,
Yeah, I
but
think I heard about it.
yeah, and it's
Absolutely retarded.
yeah, and you just think to yourself, and I was trying to explain to this lady, this young girl I met on Thursday, and I sent it to her on Instagram. I said, think about this. If the society, women are the teachers, cultural transmitters in society, and the women of today, the current women, are morons, and they are promoting slut walk, they're promoting whoredom, promoting contracting STIs. I mean, what are you going to have? You're going to have a lot of fucked up young males thinking that women are just a bunch of hookers and prostitutes. Because that's what the women
It's
are
like the whole
saying.
victim culture gone wrong.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just
This is
like,
the next level.
Yeah, your girlfriend's not cool unless she has hairy armpits, she's fat, she has blue hair, and she's got a venereal disease.
fuck that.
Chlamydia or something. Badge of
Fuck
honor.
that.
Yeah, that's like
About
you're not
triple S.
cool unless that's what your girlfriend looks like. She has to be a big fat, ugly bitch with blue hair, and she has to have some sort of venereal disease, and then you're cool because all your friends
I
are
mean,
like, "What? Your
it's
girlfriend
just.
doesn't have a venereal disease yet? Oh my god!"
I mean, it's just insane that these feminists don't think about what a destructive example they're setting.
Look, all I've come to the conclusion a long time ago. I've spoken to a few guys on this, on the private chats. I said, listen, you cannot rationalize insanity. To do so is a misnomer. This is a crime. These feminists don't think. They don't think. That's the whole point. You can't make them think, you can't make them see it. So a lot of guys that debate some of these women or talk to some of these women, if you don't know about logical fallacies, if you don't know about grammar, logic, rhetoric, if you haven't studied to the same levels or above me, and you are trying to convince me that we live in a rape culture, you can just F off. I mean, there's no discussions.
I mean, basically, you don't really need anything else than really good common sense to realize how fucked up that
But
is.
well, look, Richard, common sense. Come on. Common
I
sense
know,
is
I'm
good.
asking
I
too
mean,
much.
you're asking too much. Come on, this isn't the 1940s. This isn't the 1930s, mate. Common sense is
Patriarchy, I'm sorry.
uncommon. That's Can you imagine, Shi-Nu? Common sense is uncommon now because everyone believes in what. I mean, I just think, do you know what? Drop me out. This is why I don't. Some of the hangouts that Shi-Nu or you might go on to, Richard. I don't even bother. I don't bother with. Nah. I haven't got
Have,
The only
time.
thing I would say about that is common sense is typically taught by the father, and because we are living in a society where most people have no fathers, therefore there is no common sense because you're not going to learn common sense from a woman. They don't know anything about common sense. Most women don't think that way.
They
You
don't.
know?
They don't.
I
And
mean,
why should they? My thing is, why should they? I was talking to a guy I wouldn't mention who he was, and he said, he wanted to like find out some information. I said, dude, he said to me, some of the things that you said in your videos, I find it stellar, but I just want to know why you're abandoning half the population. It's me, dude. I'm not abandoning half the population. They've abandoned themselves, dude. I can't care more than you. I can't do this. If you think contracting a venereal disease is what's meant to happen, I haven't got anything to say to that. Because you think that walking around with a cesspit between your legs and infecting guys or other women is cool, then I can't say anything to you apart from that's you and I'm fine with it being you but you can just fuck off, because that's
It
not the
kind of
proper.
reminds me of something I heard about parts of the gay community. You know, like they always had a kind of a big problem with AIDS. So a lot of people in turn started viewing AIDS as kind of a badge of honor. Like now I can do whatever I want because now I have it, and I'll still be okay because I can eat these meds or something, so I don't have to feel bad about it anymore.
Which is totally insane. Yet again, you see,
Yeah,
and
it's
I was
also insane.
I mean, for crying out, if you want to have a badge of honor, why don't you get into a gladiator ring and fight 10 guys? They'll beat you to death, and then after that, you can say, "I've gone through war." That's a badge of honor. That's like how do they call it back in the days? Like a what do they
A
call it? Like a
trial.
yeah, like a trial to manhood of coming of a man. Now is transferring AIDS, and these women are transferring venereal diseases. I mean, bravo, bravo, bravo.
The
Wow.
things they're trying to push on, that they're trying to foist on men as things that we need to find, like, like it's all right for them to like sexualize men because men are the patriarchy, and so that's fine. But men can't sexualize women, and you can, but it has to be all women equally. Like you're not allowed to have a type. If
You
you
have to
find
sign your sexual
Asian
consent form
women,
first.
yeah, if you find Asian women attractive and they have to be skinny Asian women with long hair, well, that's not allowed. You can't do that because that's not right. You got to think all Asian women and all black women and all white women and fat and skinny and whatever, they're all equally sexy because women are strong and powerful. And they have this completely like stupid mindset that this is how life is, that you're not, like, over thousands of years of evolution, the human has came to the point where we find certain things attractive. Certain men find certain things attractive. Some guys like big boobs. Some guys like big asses. Some guys like skinny little girls. Some guys like big fat girls. Everybody has a type that they like, and that's not a bad thing. That's just what that person likes. It's not racist. It's not sexist. It's what that person is sexually attracted to. You wouldn't go up to a gay guy and tell him that, that just because, like Milo, you wouldn't say, like, just because he likes black gay guys, that makes him racist. No, he thinks black gay guys are sexy, you know. But that only applies to women, you know. It's not a problem that Milo does that because that's guys, two guys. It only matters if he did that to women. If he said all he likes to have sex with is black women, well, then that becomes a problem. Because then what about all the Asians and the white women? You can't do that because that's just wrong. How dare you be attracted to a certain portion of society?
I mean, I just saw a video a couple of days ago. This woman, this Italian woman, she paid supposedly $90,000 to kiss Ricky Martin, to
What?
snog Ricky Martin.
Isn't he gay?
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Isn't he gay? I mean, anything just to, how do you know? I pay. It was at an auction, 90,000 to snog Ricky Martin. I mean, well done, Ricky. Well done,
Like,
Ricky.
show me bank.
I was like, yeah, kiss me, fuck yeah. I'll go and buy a new fucking Mercedes. Fuck you.
You know, it was a charity event. I'm sure that money is wound up in the Cayman Islands, which it should do. I don't know
Yeah,
why people are going for capitalism now. I mean, God Almighty,
Well,
which
it's
it
just a
should
small
do.
percentage that actually goes to people who need it.
yeah.
Exactly,
The rest of it
exactly.
goes around marketing and payoffs.
Yeah, I mean, But yet again, they're trying to go for that again. I don't know why they're bothering, but it's quite fun to watch. I find it hilarious and amusing. I like to see what's going to happen in 5 to 10 years' time with men, and I can predict a lot of men are finished. A lot of men are finished. Right now, we're at the precipice. You're either going to have to become an entrepreneur and start affecting change by gathering resources with other men that have the same mindset, or if they don't have the same mindset, just have an agreement that we're all about the cash. But most men are so weak, they can't manage this. Look, Shi-Nu, a lot of men are gone. They're gone. I've been seeing this for the past 15, 20 years. They're finished. All of the guys
Well, they've
here in
pretty
me,
much
I
been
repeat.
taught to be weak.
Pardon me?
I mean, they've pretty much been taught to be weak since childhood. So, I mean,
Yeah,
they got the
they're
odds
finished.
stacked against them from the
I've
beginning.
been in teaching
And
for over
those
20
systems
years,
and
and
everything
when I
like that.
see some of these guys, it's sad to see how they are. They're like worse than the girls that are in the classes.
Shi-Nu,
It's
it's not sad because I'm gonna make money over it. If you guys haven't heard about my tone by now, I'm positioning myself hundreds and trillions of pounds sterling, yen, rubles, dollar, naira, whatever listen, all of these I like it. I like it, Shi. I like it. I like it. I like it. I like lions. I like people that are aggressive. I like hard-bodied men. I like them because of the way they think. All of these guys by the wayside, bitching and pontificating of a vagina, they're gonna get trodden on, stepped on. I can't wait. I love it.
well, did I ever play you that video of that one kid that was he was out with some girl, and they were in maybe it looked like maybe Florida, and they were like paddling or whatever, and his boat started to sink, and he sounds like he's gay, but he's like asking the girl to save him, and his boat's sinking, and it's too deep, and he can't move, and his boat is sinking. He's crying and whining, and he's like, "Oh, help me!
Oh,
What do I do?" Oh, and he's like, "Oh, it's so sad. It's so sad because this guy is like, it's like, dude, just fucking like." She tells him like, just grab your boat and take it over to the edge, which he wasn't very far away from the edge. He was only like 10 feet or something. He could have like, swam it over to the edge and then dumped the water out, and then like, tried to find out if there's a hole in it or something or whatever, and then got back in his boat and kept paddling. But he's like, no, I can't. It's too deep. It's like,
That
oh,
sounds ridiculous.
Jesus Christ,
That
dude.
kind of reminds me of an experience I had not long ago. It was
Oh,
like I was invited to this wine night thing. So it was, at a friend's place. There were like maybe 6, 7 people there in total. So we were just kind of an evening, having a good time, talk and drink some wine and do whatever, kind of play some silly games or something. Either way, this one girl who was there, she was going to cut something at the counter with a kitchen knife, but she managed to drop it, and it just stuck right into her foot.
ooh.
It just didn't go deeper like than 1 centimeter, and she just started going haywire, crazy, because she was afraid of blood or something. And I just felt like I was the only one in that situation who knew what to do. Like, I just got some cloth, ripped it up, and put some pressure on the wound, right? Stop the blood. And she couldn't keep calm, so it just wouldn't stop, and they was freaking out, both guys who were there and the women as well. It was just ridiculous. And then even ended up calling an ambulance for a petty wound like that. It was kind of amazing.
oh
I
mate,
had the same thing happen to me when I was a kid. I was jumping on a trampoline and I was doing backflips, and I fell backwards and smashed my head on the steel pipe that the trampoline is made out of. And I came inside, and all my cousins and my aunt were like freaking out, like just totally fucking going nuts. And my cousin and me were just sitting there with like ice on the back of my head because it was bleeding, and I had to go get stitches. I got like 6 stitches in my head, but they were going fucking nuts. They were acting like I was dying, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
And me and him were just sitting there like, what the fuck is wrong with these people?
Yeah,
They
but
were like calling my
absolutely, you just
mom,
feel
they were
like
calling my
everything is just
dad, and they
ridiculously
were getting
common.
in the car, and they were like trying to figure out what they were gonna do, and me and him were just sitting there like, what the fuck is wrong with these people, you know?
It's like they haven't experienced anything bad at all ever, and
Yeah.
that's how they react to a situation like that.
Well, I was talking the other day in my video that I did. Ego watched it, the one I did about the girl assaulting me, sexually assaulting me at a club.
Your attempted rape. She attempted to rape you.
Yeah, the thing is these girls want that stuff to happen to them. And they want it to happen because most women nowadays have nothing that they can like say like I'm a victim. They want to be a victim. But they really don't have anything to really show that. So they make up stories like, oh, some guy like grabbed my ass one time on a bus or something. I'm such a victim. Oh, feel sorry for me. So they actually want things like that to happen to them. And that's why I said in that video, I was like, you're not going to hear me talk about this for the next 20 years, but you can damn sure bet that if it happened to a woman, she'd make 20 videos on this and you'd hear about it for the next 30 years. You know, because they want that stuff to happen to them. They're
That'll
waiting for a
probably be
guy
a
to do
go-to
some shit
story.
like that to them.
Richard, did you say something?
No, it's commented on that would probably be her go-to story for the rest of her life.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what happens to them.
I mean, the
They
video
do.
that you
They talk
put up
about it
today.
over and over and over again. They'll be like,
The
yeah, this
video,
guy one time he came up to me in a club and he touched my butt and he asked me out and he was really creepy and I didn't want anything to do with him and he tried to rape me. And it's like, no, it didn't quite happen that way, but okay, if that's how you think it happened. You
I
know?
mean, the video you just put up today about Jerry and the story Jerry spoke
Yeah.
about his friend being. You see, what I like about when I speak to yourself and Optimus Christ and other people, you say things that I've experienced so many times, and this is why I'll spend the time to talk. But it's like in that situation, a woman, she didn't roofie the guy, but the guy was drunk, he was passed out, and she rapes him.
Yep.
Then the friend witnessed it, and he was like, oh, well, even though you were passed out, you got raped, she fucked the hell out of you. Ha ha ha. It's just like, dude, really?
Yeah, would you do that for a woman?
Oh God.
If some chick was passed out and your friend was over there fucking her and then you told her the next day, do you think one of her friends would be like, wow, you got drunk last night and you were passed out on the bed and this dude was fucking the shit out of you? Oh, it's so funny. No, of course not. That only happens to a guy. That would never happen to a woman.
Well, I mean, I was going out with this girl years back. She's pretty gorgeous, whatever. Anyway, she invited me to a house party with her friends. She was going out with this new guy. She didn't mean shit to me, so I went there with a few of my guys. So this guy was there, meant to be a local drug dealer. Please, please. Anyway, so she got drunk. All her friends were like swooning all over me. Oh, he's such a great guy. You should go back out with him. Blah blah blah. Anyway, she pulls me into her bedroom whilst her boyfriend is downstairs DJing, whilst his friends are outside the bedroom, begging me to have sex with him. Oh, please, please. I'm like, dude, your boyfriend. So come on, it's me. Come on, I don't see you like that anymore. Drop me out. Oh my God, please, please. Just quickly. I'm like, dude, forget about it. Forget. Anyway, she was embarrassed. The next day, she calls me. Oh, thank you so much. You're such a great guy. A normal guy would have taken full advantage. I was like, dude, you are sick. These women is like she got pied. I
Wow.
pied her. So like to redeem herself. Oh, you're such a cool. But why would you do that? You want to be. She would have gone down to her friends. Oh, he's just fucked me upstairs. And then her boyfriend might be there. He might want to save her. I would have battered the crap out of him. But I'm not gonna fight another guy over a woman. I mean, what the hell's that all about? But oh my God, some of the things, and I just think God Almighty. God Almighty, save us
A
all.
lot of women come up with really fucked up stuff. This woman I know. She tried to convince me that I should go up to a guy and sort of, confront him from the fact that she felt uncomfortable because he looked at her in a weird way. I mean, why the fuck would I want to do that?
They like to do that though. That's something that women will do. They will actually use you to like, they'll like go into a bar, have some guy flirt with them or something, and then they'll say, "My boyfriend will kick your ass," and then they'll go get you and bring you over to this guy, and they'll say, "This is my boyfriend," and you're like, what's going on? And they're
Yeah,
like,
dumb shit like
he
that.
tried to touch me, he tried to flirt with me, and you're like, and you know, and they're
It's like,
wanting you to white knight for them. That's what
yeah,
they want,
exactly. It's
you know, and they're
it's
trying to get
absolutely
your ass
insane.
beat. They're trying to get your ass beat, you
While
know.
standing back and enjoying the drama unfold, yeah.
Yeah, they're like some guy says like, I don't want nothing to do with your nasty snatch, or something, and they're like, my boyfriend will kick your ass, and it's like they're like, so what, and then he comes over there and you're like, yeah, whatever, you know. So I think that would be so hilarious to see some guy come over and be like shaking his hands and be like, well, your girlfriend was saying, you were gonna kick my ass because I told her that whatever, and then he's like, yeah, well, you're kind of right, you know,
Well, I
you
met a
know,
Yeah, that
guy.
would be like the perfect end on such a situation. But I
yeah,
mean, probably
Yeah,
thinking about how many times shit has gone south when someone actually did something
yeah,
that a woman
well,
suggested
I met a
in
guy
a
once.
situation.
I met a guy once. He just got released from prison. This was years ago, and he told me that he ended up in prison because of his girlfriend. They went out shopping, and something happened where I think a couple of guys slapped her, pinched her bum, and she turned around and slapped one of them. So they started, they wanted to beat the crap out of her. So he came there and like he mangina through his missus. He ended up putting one in a coma. I think he ended up killing one of the guys. He was in prison for,
Well,
I don't know, about 10, 11 years. And he just came out and I said, so is she still with you? He goes, no, she left me, after about 6 months.
oh, Jesus
of course he
Christ.
did, of
Ruined his
course he
own
did,
life just for that.
yeah,
That's terrible.
of course he
That's
did.
just terrible.
While you've been in prison, she's been having all kinds of cocks shoving in and out of her,
Probably fucked his
you
best
know.
friend too.
Oh,
Yeah,
definitely.
she probably ended up fucking one of the guys that he fucking didn't kill.
You know, a shoulder to cry on, a shoulder to cry. And that's another thing. A lot of guys that have done this, I do not, they did it when they were younger because I did some fucked up shit when I was younger. But I always tell my guys, listen, your girlfriend keeps looking at me. She looks at me again, I'm gonna fuck her. I mean, that's how I was when I was younger. But certain guys that sort of like, I call them shadow men. They stand in the shadows, watch and observe it, and then they'll talk to your girlfriend or a girl that likes you, and they'll sort of like try to make them pivot, like try to make them pivot to themselves to have sex with them. And a lot of the times, I find it weird. Why would you want to have sex with a woman that I've had sex with? That's weird.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah,
like,
Weird, yeah.
I've always found that creepy too. I'm a psychologist and I deal with a lot of weird things going on like that, where it doesn't make any sense, where some girl wants to sleep with her best friend's husband, and it's like, why? That don't make any sense, you know? It just doesn't make any sense why you would want to do something like that. And it just seems like they're just jealous, that everybody's a little bit jealous and they just want what you have. You seem to have something that's really nice, and that kind of should speak volumes to a lot of people, is that they know that you have a guy that you really love, and or that a woman has somebody that, whatever, and they they feel that the only thing in the relationship that would make you be like that is that the sex must be really good. So I want to have sex with that person. So that speaks volumes that they would want to do that, because that's what they're thinking. They're thinking, well, this person is must be good in bed, and that's why this person wants to be with this person, you know. And then that should tell you a lot, because a lot of women try to act like the only thing they have in life isn't just their pussy, but it is. That's what they really think, is like, guys like me because I have a pussy, and if I didn't have the pussy, guys wouldn't like me.
It sounds like
but
a
yet
fucking
again,
way to validate themselves or something.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but personally, as I said to this guy on a private call, I said this is a fair exchange. I've said this to a lot of guys. I said I'm impartial. I really don't give a damn because I see it for what it is. The vagina is a commodity. A man's wealth is his commodity. So exchange for that vagina for some cash. That's what it is. It's exchange of goods and services. And women will tell you this. Now, my mum is in her 60s. She's telling me that she's hearing now that there are no jobs in France and women her age are prostituting themselves. And I said, well done, you. Well done. You now realize what I've known for the past like 10, 15 years that women are doing, and their husbands will gladly. I've been to Dominican Republic. I've been to a number of places, and I speak to people and I gauge their mentality. I'll ask them indirect questions to give me the goods. So it's like a situation where that vagina is a hot, well, not for me, but is a hot commodity for some guys. Don't get upset. If you want to pay to play, pay to play. Don't get your heart involved in it. This is a transaction, you know, apart from that. And the women will say, my vagina is gold. Are you going to pay this certain? You've got to take me out to the restaurant. You've got to pay for petrol. You've got to pay my rent. Dude, if that's what you want to do, no problem. Just don't complain about it. Because you know now. A lot of guys know now. They know. But yet they act like they don't know. Baffled. No, 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 no. Pay for that pussy. I told Shi-Nu, those women that attracted to Shi-Nu. What did I say to you, Shi-Nu? They better pay. They better pay.
Yeah.
They better. You better start making money. Tell these women, oh, I'm hungry. Take me. Yeah. Buy me this. But yeah, yeah. And then at the end of the night, give them a kiss on the cheek and go, I've got to wake up early tomorrow. Skedaddle. I mean, why not? You're
Because
wasting your
I'm
talent,
not
Shi-Nu.
interested in women. That's why I'm not really interested in them like that.
Well, you're interested in cash, Shuni. As I said before, like it's about the cash, it's about the money, dude. I mean,
Yeah, not really interested in them like that. That's
a means to an end, Shuni. God, a means to an end. I mean, God, you know. So yeah,
I'm trying to find this story, the one I was telling you about with that kid, so you can watch it. You'll get a good laugh out of it.
oh God, I don't. When I see things like that, I think it's like a Beatles about. Like I think someone's setting me up. If I was ever to see something, I think that someone's trying to set me up. Like because how could a guy be in a and he's screaming and
Yeah,
he doesn't know what to do? I'm like, but it's not a joke anymore. I mean, this is real life.
yeah, yeah. No, this is
Is it just that people are just extremely sheltered all their life, nothing bad has ever happened to them, and they just
yeah,
freak out like that?
yeah, yeah. It's
Uh,
it's
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 just,
freaking hilarious.
So how are things in Sweden? Oh, here it is.
well, they are as sad as ever.
Yeah,
Oh God.
I mean, I think a
yeah,
lot of people are starting to realize in Sweden now that their expectations for the future better be a lot lower than their parents.
Oh, come on. Just like in Japan. I mean, God.
Well,
yeah,
it's,
yeah.
uh,
Well, you
I'm
guys should
saying, I'm just guessing that
you
the
guys should
welfare
get.
system isn't going to be what it has been,
I
and
don't I don't think
a lot of people are going to learn that the hard way.
I'll get any like DMCA's for this because there's no really like music or anything on it. This is just some loser guy that's just a total douche. But this is what we have to look forward to. The problem is there's so many of these kind of guys now that like I have no hope for like the future of our planet with like guys like this maybe being presidents someday and like governors and senators and lawyers and doctors and stuff. This is what we have to look forward to because of our wonderful feminist system that we have set up now where they're all teaching our children and they don't know how to teach boys. So we get this.
Oh, it's actually recently found out that in Sweden, there's like a national test you can do if you don't want to apply for instance, university with your grades. And they found out that actually boys get higher marks on that test than women do, or girls do, yeah. So, but in the school system, girls have much higher grades than the boys do. It's kind of a
But what was the
problem
test
there.
on again? A test.
It's like a national test that you can do to apply for university. Basically, they test you in every major category instead of it's like an alternative to applying to university with your grades. You can do the test instead.
Oh, I think these people have been cooking the numbers anyway, with boys and girls' results because these girls, I mean, no disrespect, my sister's a doctor, but I mean, she's smart, but I mean, anyway, let's watch this clip.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna get to this part where the thing comes up and then go back.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
Seriously, that's.
Yeah.
I mean, I like his shades.
Yeah. Let's listen to him.
Think slower. Oh, Sarah, help me.
Oh my God, hold on.
Sarah, help me. My kayak's sinking. Sarah, I don't know what to do.
I can't help it. I'm
Can
sorry.
you get my...
That's
No, no, it's deep. It's too deep here.
Okay.
Oh no.
It's on your shirt.
No.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, I don't know what to do. Oh no. Oh, Sarah. Oh my God.
What do you want me to do? I don't know how to help you. You need to go to land and go flip your kayak over.
I can't. No, I don't know what to do.
Okay. Calm down. Listen to me. Matt.
Sarah, help me. Oh my God. Oh no. Oh no.
It's just so fucking sad, man.
I have one thing to
It's
say.
Oh,
That's
so
stand
sad.
back. Natural selection in progress.
Exactly.
Oh, Sarah, help me, Sarah. Oh, it's so
I didn't
horrible.
find that one bit funny because I was just thinking to myself, someone
It's so
should
sad.
drown that bastard. He should.
Oh, I know.
God.
Oh,
Oh, mate. Sarah, what's Sarah going to think about other guys? What's Sarah going to
Yeah.
think when she meets you, Shi-Nu, or you, Richard? You think that? I wonder how he'll behave when he's in a kayak and it's flipped over.
I know. Yeah,
That's gonna be her way to benchmark guys for the future.
yeah. It's like, can he survive having his canoe sink? You know?
I actually met a Swedish girl on Thursday, Richard,
Oh, how
and
was it?
I mean, you know, she just aesthetically she looked alright, but she
Was
just
something missing,
mentally,
right?
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
God,
I know what you're talking about.
God. Oh,
I
I
actually
met,
think I can't stand most Swedish women. I kind of tend to stay away from them.
I mean,
Yeah,
I
well,
met
with the
enough.
feminist
There's
thing going on over there,
such
I'd be like
entitled
that too.
The
morons,
feminism.
basically.
I mean,
That's just how I feel.
I met a quite a hot. I met the same
Yeah,
night. I
there's
met a
quite a lot
hot.
of feminist madness in Sweden.
Yeah, I mean,
Go on.
God Almighty. God Almighty. When I went to Sweden, I visited. I can't remember the area, but I sort of pirouetted around a place called Old Town, which was
Oh
gorgeous.
yeah. Yeah, it's really nice.
I
I
mean,
love that place.
it's gorgeous. I mean, but the women there, I preferred the Norwegian women. Actually, they seem to be a little bit more, a bit up for it. But oof. I mean, I don't know how you do it. I mean, the UK is bad when it comes to feminism, but God, I mean, Sweden. I thought you know.
Let me tell you something interesting. Swedish government has a party called Miljöpartiet. Basically, they're the environmentalists, and they do market themselves as feminists, just as the Social Democrats do. And for some reason, there are a lot of Muslims in the party. And there's this one guy called Mehmet Kaplan, and he's in charge of, he was the housing minister, basically. And he basically he resigned. And it's, how to put it? Yeah, he was basically associating with a lot of unquestionable people from Turkey, mostly, like really left-wing organizations who want to kill Armenian dogs and whatnot. And just the most despicable people they could ever find. Like, how is complete reverse of any feminist agenda about equal rights and anything like that. So,
Well,
I mean, it's just a victimhood culture thing, and anything is about hating Islam, but in reality, a lot of these people are pretty terrible. So yes, that happened, and a couple of days later, there was this one other guy. I can't remember his name, but it's not really important, and he was one of the higher-ups in the party, or he was, on his rise up in the environmentalist party, and he wouldn't even shake hands with a female reporter because she was a female. And they're supposed to be like a feminist party, but they excuse the most terrible stuff until it comes to light.
what hasn't it happened in? Is it Sweden, Finland, or what country? They said that now some
Sweden.
of the Muslim students don't have to shake the hands of the female tutors or other students.
Sweden.
Oh,
It was probably
dude.
Sweden, I think. I think there was something like that going on here.
Dude, let me
It's-
tell you something. Let me tell you something. Sweden, forget about it, mate. It's over.
Honestly, I don't expect anything good to happen in Sweden in a very long time until shit goes south completely, and there's some brave people who feel like they want to rebuild shit. That's how I view it, really.
I've told Shi-Nu before. I've said it and I'll say it again. I'll say it again. The Anglo-Saxon or the Danes or whatever. So I watch this program called Vikings. I love it, and I just think to myself, how could a people so strong? How can a people so strong? They're just allowing debasement of their communities, men allowing their women to get raped and fondled. No one saying nothing about it. I said to my nephew, I said, listen, I've been in situations before, like really bad situations, dangerous situations, 5, 6 guys, just me and my own. I said to them, I don't give a damn who it is, mate. I will run through these guys like Casper, the friendly ghost, and I will. But Sweden, what's going on in Sweden is I'm hearing now Turkey is saying to basically, if they're not allowed into the European Union, they're gonna let all the refugees just go all over.
Wow. Let me tell you something about the Swedish budget. Like, our migration budget is now larger than the school budget. It's larger than it combined. I'm talking about these budgets combined. It's actually larger than the school budget, the health budget, hospitals and all that shizassel. It's costs more than, you can even add on the police budget. And probably a little bit more, and it's still larger than that.
Sweden.
I mean, that's insanity going.
Sweden is being destroyed. The Scandinavian countries,
being destroyed.
England, and this is what I tell a lot of people. When we spoke the other day, Shi-Nu, about racism, I said, listen, before Christendom took over the Islamic way of slavery and going around and doing their things, Islam was running amok. Islam was running it. They were making hand over fist. They were going wherever they wanted to. They were killing whoever. I mean, wasn't it the Persians that went over to Greece and sorted out, you know, the Spartans, if you know 300 has any accuracy. And what's going on now is the Swedish community, or the Swedish, they are so apathetic. They're like dodos, it looks like. Dodos.
Yeah, they are.
They're going to get wiped out.
The thing with Sweden is that, you know, you can say whatever you want about the people who come here who do bad things, but the people that allow this to happen is our politicians. They're basically fucking us, literally fucking us. Because they don't feel what happens when they destroy a neighborhood through their policies that they enact. I mean, they live in sheltered places with guards.
Well, exactly, because as I've always said, I've studied
high salaries, so they can afford to live in the good neighborhoods and don't have to see any of this madness, right? Or very little of it.
Yeah, exactly.
To the point that they can just outright excuse it. So they don't know what the reality is like for normal people here.
Look, Rick, they do know. I'm studying something called...
they know, but they don't give a shit.
I'm studying something called predictive analytics now, and I can venture to say, from what I even know now, from what I've just studied in a few months, 3 months, I know that the Swedish politicians, they know how the people are going to be. They've done predictive models to see how they're going to do. They are working for foreign powers. They have foreign interests at hand, and they don't give a damn about the ghettos. I saw a video, was it in Sweden, where a reporter goes there to one of, what do they call this area with a lot of this?
Maybe. she
got attacked.
Yeah. I think I've probably seen it. This hasn't happened once. This has happened multiple times. Like in some of these neighborhoods, police are even kind of afraid to go there because they basically get ambushed and attacked by a lot of people there. It's insane, pretty much.
And it seems like the
Swedish... granted that it's not a large amount of people who do attack other people, but you know, it doesn't have to be a lot of people to ruin a neighborhood.
No, it does. Yeah, you're right. And the thing about it is, I tell people that I've studied different cultures and traditions. Certain cultures, even in the UK, people are still Neanderthals. They're thugs. They football culture, this lad culture. These guys, they only know one type of language, and that's war. You cannot fraternize with the enemy. Whatever it looks, you've got to set yourself. If someone comes up to you, try and bullshit, and you see that these guys, you can't come to a reasonable thing, you put a crowbar in their face. That's what they'll respect you for it. I mean,
yeah. You can only with certain people in certain ways sometimes. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, and when you have, I know a lot of people that have come over from Somalia years ago, and I know a lot of people that have come over from a lot of the countries, and you see people that come over from Norway, from Sweden, from their nature is very different to the Turks. Over in North London, there's a massive problem. Look, the Turks and the Kurds are basically running the whole of northeast London, Tottenham, Edmonton. You're having money laundering. You're having murders.
What's this place called? Luton? It's supposed to be pretty crazy, now, right?
Yeah, Luton. I mean, Luton.
Is that the epicenter?
No, not really. No, Luton's not an epicenter. I mean, London. I mean, East London now, like Bethnal Green, Mile End, which is highly Islamic. I mean, the other day I took my cousin out for a meal. We're just walking down Bethnal Green Road. Next thing I know, I saw about 300 Muslim guys praying outside, and I went, "What the fuck is going on?" And she goes, "Oh, what's going on?" Huh?
I mean, I think the problem here is I did this comparison a while ago when I had a conversation with someone. I don't remember who it was, but I gave him this following example. If a lot of people that came to Sweden, let's say they were Buddhists from Thailand instead, then we probably wouldn't even have anything to talk about.
Yes,
because they act so differently. They don't try to enact their own ways on other people.
And I said this to Shi-Nu,
experience with those people.
Well,
but, I mean, there's a difference.
Yes, there is a difference. There is a difference, and when as I've always said, the Anglo-Saxon, the Anglo-Saxon, the Westerner, the, you know, lack of a better word, I like to call them the J-fifth, but the, you know, i.e. the white man. This idea of the white man, that he's gone around the world and he's conquered and he's enslaved. I've told Shi-Nu, the white man now is being poached. He's being poached. And you know, if we went back to being under the rule of Mohammedanism or Islam, oh my God, oh my God, it wouldn't be, you wouldn't, people wouldn't be a happy bunny. You, if now the Chinese, some of the Chinese with some of their ways, you know, if we went under some of these powers and you know, we weren't speaking English, people wouldn't have a good time. People wouldn't. So you know, feminism toppling over the so-called white man and using black people or black feminists as a pawn. You know, all of this stuff about swirling, all of this sort of bollocks. You're seeing that now. The chickens are coming home to roost. The rot is spreading like wildfire, and the internet is making it faster.
It's gotten worse progressively over the years here. I mean, a lot of these feminists, they basically import people that hate them and everything they stand for. I see it a lot in politics here. It's like signing your own death warrant, because they have extremely regressive values. Say whatever you want about feminism and their problems, but these people hate them. They're acting like they love them, but they don't.
Look, as Shi-Nu said, look, when I worked in a prison, when I worked in a prison in the UK, I learned many things. And a lot of people say this white man, you know, is the cause of everything that's wrong. And there's newspaper articles, places like Bradford, up north, parts of London, where you have Bengali or Muslim rape gangs. They're not raping black women. No. They're not raping. They're not raping. They're raping white women, white girls, and the police are not saying a peep. When I show some of my friends this, I say, you say the white man is a problem, but look at this. This is a white woman. She's been drugged. She's been taken to a crack house. She's been raped. Not even by black men. This whole story about all black men are savages, not really. A lot of black guys have been schooled under the Western way of thinking, for crying out loud. The ones that have been raised by women, but you can say that with any group of people. But the fact of the matter is, look at what's going on. And, you know, Richard, you want to talk to a few of your friends. You guys better pucker up. You better pucker up, because when some of these guys come to your neighborhoods, the police are not going to be there for you. That's going to be after the fact, and it's going to get.
Sweden is a country that has probably the lowest amounts of police per capita, so there is not a whole lot of expectations about police here.
This reminds me of.
It's really sad. Actually, the police organization is working so badly here that a lot of police officers are actually quitting their jobs because they're upset with management.
This reminds
me. So there's
of
a lot of things not working well in Sweden.
This reminds me of a movie. This reminds me of a 1990s movie called Demolition Man. Demolition Man. In the future. Have you seen it? Demolition
yeah, that movie, yeah.
No one knows how to fight. All the cops are docile bums. And Wesley Snipes. Wesley Snipes, with his kung fu, is killing everyone.
Yeah, he's basically running the show.
Terrible. Is Shi-Nu still there? What's Shi-Nu doing?
Of course. Yeah.
I mean, do you want to talk about Prince now? I mean, God Almighty, Prince. I mean.
Yeah, I have a bunch of women that after that vegan festival I went to last week.
Yeah.
I've got all these women now that are like talking to me on Facebook, and I'm going again for this. They invited me to do this thing tomorrow, and I have them writing me right now. I mean, it's 12:44 in the morning, and they're still writing me, and I've got like a bunch of women that are.
Well, as long as they pay you, Shi-Nu, don't go. They've got to pay you, man. They've got to pay you. They want you to come. All right. this is how much it's going to be worth. I mean,
Is this some kind of a gig you're gonna do or something?
9. No, they're like just women. They're just like, you know, that's what that noise is. This girl's riding me.
so she's
Yeah,
a
but
woman.
what do
She
you
wants you to
want?
do what exactly?
She's talking to me. I wrote her. I sent out a bunch of stuff about. There's a guy that lives in the area that was blocked off in Fukushima, and he went up and he's taking care of all the animals that people left behind, and he lives there alone because
Oh,
it's
you
an
mean the
irradiated
radioactive
area.
farmer?
Yeah, so he's
That guy's
taking care
sounds
of
pretty
all of
tough.
the animals, and it's really cool. He's up there alone, nobody's around, and he just takes care of all the animals that are up there, all the cats and dogs and everything that is left behind. You know,
I've read a lot about Fukushima. Really interesting situation that developed there.
yeah. And he's been there for 5 years and stuff. I just sent this out, and I'm getting all the like, because I'm a vegan. I'm a really like kind person to animals and stuff like that, and I don't eat animals and stuff. So a lot of these girls here in Japan find that really like nice, you know.
No, what you're saying is they find that sexy.
Yeah,
Shi-Nu.
exactly. Yeah. Well, then, all of them. What I try to do, I'm not really interested in them, but what I try to get them to do is to realize, like, I kind of like try to push them away by showing them pictures of me as a trans, so they see pictures of me as a woman. And what's really weird is a lot of them that makes them more
They're turned
attracted
on
to
by that.
No, Shi-Nu. No, Shi-Nu. It's not really weird. I mean, when you said this to me,
They're-
when you said it on the talk that you showed the woman that tried to rape you, the attempted rape, a picture of you dressed as I knew. Look, Shi-Nu. Don't tell a lie. You knew it was a strategic move because you knew they'll make her vagina salivate for you. This is what happens. This is what happens, Shi-Nu. And at that point there, you should have said, "What is your credit card details?" And you should have.
So, I'm just not that kind of person.
Oh, gosh.
No, that's not me.
Well, I mean, you're just being too nice. Then, I mean, you're not capitalizing. You're not capitalizing on that.
I find it from a MGTOW standpoint. I just don't want to get involved with a woman like that because you're putting your life in danger. You know, I don't. That's why I like the MGTOW mindset because I like women, yes, and they like me. I play music and I do a lot of things that women find sexy. I just I don't want to put myself in that position. I don't want to get there because women are very clingy, and it's very easy to get to a point where you think it's going to be all right, and then it's not. You know.
Yeah, I know. This is why I support. I'm an advocate of keeping a video diary, a vlog of every interaction. But you also, before it gets to doomsday, you make a few transactions. I'm not talking about having sex with the woman or these women. I'm talking about they pay for meals, they pay for a car, they pay for the rent. And then when it comes to the end of your journey, just say, oh, I haven't had sex with you because I didn't want to use you sexually. So, whatever, just make up a story. I mean, for crying out loud, shooter, we're not, MGTOW's great, but make money for these women. I mean, there's nothing wrong in it, dude. I mean, I don't know why, like, you're
I mean,
and
you gotta
ahhing
carve
about
out your own living.
huh?
You gotta carve out your own living somehow, right?
Yeah, why not? You're misappropriating your personal or your talents, Sheena. You know how to play the guitar. Now play these women like a string, like a violin. Make them cry for you. And
Well,
then,
that's the thing. I've been a musician my whole life, so that's kind of what I do. Like,
well, all right. All right.
you can see here. I'll show my thing here. I've got 3 girls talking to me at the same time right now.
知っています。
How's life, guys?
Yeah.
Oh, they're pretty excited there.
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great.
What's been happening?
Is Shi-Nu here?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, Shi-Nu, what's up? Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, this is
what's
my
been
hangout.
happening?
The MGTOW Round
'Cause-
Table was my hangout. So yeah, of course I knew.
Okay. Yeah, so you know Tifa, right?
Yeah.
What the fuck's been up with her?
I do not know.
She just made a video freaking like talking shit about me, Apotheosis, and some other people, and I didn't do anything to him. Like usually when you have a problem with somebody, you talk to them about it, or at least like there was some sort of altercation that happened earlier. But this person is just I don't know. And I left a really nasty comment on her video about that, which I'm sure she's not gonna let down. I mean,
Yeah.
let me live it up.
Yeah.
I was like, you know how she eats apples?
Yeah. On camera.
Yeah, so I was like,
Like everybody wants to listen to that.
so I was like, hey, you should eat more apples because you sound like a bitch when you're hungry.
Mm.
I was so upset. I had to say something to this fucking.
Yeah, I don't know, she's been getting very strange lately, you know. I don't know, she's having trouble with her parents. You know, her dad doesn't like that she's trans, and, you know, and all this kind of stuff. So, and she's really young. You know, oh, actually, she's not young. I think she's in her 30s.
She's very old.
Yeah, she's in her 30s actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just think it's hard for her to, you know, she's just a little bit of a kind of like a hikikomori kind of person, where she plays video games and is into comics and kind of stays in her room most of the time and doesn't really have friends and that kind of thing.
I guess the reason depends on much.
Yeah.
Well, I'm kind of fine with not hanging out with people too much either. But I guess the reason.
Yeah, I like hanging out with people online because it's a lot. I mean, you're not expected to give money or anything more than time and just to talk with people. It's kind of nice because usually my friends end up being people who want to use me. You know, my whole life I've worked on cars. I do body work and I cook and you know, I'm a very kind of home-oriented person. I do a lot of things around the house, and I can build houses. I can do a lot of things. I work with my hands. So I'm typically the guy that everybody calls to come and help them when things are fucked up and work on their cars and do things for them for free. And that ends up being my kind of friends that I've always ended up having is they want me to work for them and do shit for them for free. You know, and I'm just expected to do that because I don't have a lot of money and I don't have a lot of friends, and the people that are my friends know that. So they know that, like, if I want to still be their friend, then I've got to do shit for them, you know. So they'll do something for me, and then for me to pay them back for that, I have to do like 6 times as much, you know. They'll give me like $10, and then I have to like chop wood for 6 hours.
Well,
Yeah.
you need to get yourself new management, Shi-Nu.
I know. Well, I just want to make like a little bit more money here, and then I can like get on point, you know. Well, what I really want to do is get this job that I'm supposed to get this job being a hostess at that transgender gay bar, and if I do that, I'll get about $400 a night doing that. And it'll also help me with my channel because I think my channel will blow up when I start doing videos on the fact that I'm a transgender hostess in Japan, and I'm going to be a refugee, so I'm going to get a Japanese citizenship. So when I put all that together on my YouTube channel, it's going to blow up.
You're going to gather up a lot of stories with that job.
Yeah, and I can talk about real life stories of Japanese men that come into the hostess club and talk about their wives or talk about life with me in English and Japanese, because a lot of times they come in and they want to talk with somebody like me just because I can speak English. So
they're going to drown you in alcohol too.
Yeah, they'll try, but I don't drink. That's the other thing I told my friend. They need to know that I don't drink, you know.
Well, isn't the thing with a lot of those people who work in hostess bars, they drink and they throw up because they get a commission for every drink they like the client purchase.
My friend, I don't drink. You know, that's something. You know, I'm a vegan and I've been sober since like 1998, so it's been like 27 years that I've been sober. So I don't want to drink, you know. So I told him, to tell him that, because he's acting as my manager to get me the interview. So we'll see. I'll see what happens, because that's going to be the first thing I'm going to tell him. I'm like, look, I don't drink at all, ever. Not even like a shot. I'm not going to drink any alcohol at all. So, I don't mind being in there. I don't mind talking to people. I've got a master's in psychology, so I don't mind talking with men about their wives and about their lives and trying to help them and give them a, kind of a shoulder to cry on, as it were. I don't mind being that person, but I'm not going to sit there and drink all night and get drunk. I'm not going to do that at all.
That's fair. And somebody's echoing.
I hope it works, though. I mean, drinking is a huge component of social interaction in Japan, right?
Yeah. That's why I told my
What do they
friend.
call it? Communication? Is
Yeah.
that what they call it?
Yeah.
Can you drink like non-alcoholic beverage that looks like alcohol and just go
I
along
used
with
to.
it?
I had a bar, and I had 2 bars here in Japan, and I used to have a bottle with tea and water in it that looked like Jack Daniels, and I would drink that, and I would tell them it was our special bottle, that we had a bottle that we used, that the other ones are for the customers, and we would buy a bottle for ourselves, and when people bought us drinks, that's what we would drink. The easiest one to do was the vodka bottle, because you just put water in it, So you would do things like, I would put like orange juice, and then I would get like a jigger, and I'd put like water from the vodka bottle into the jigger, and I'd throw that into the orange juice and tell them I'm having a screwdriver, And it's just water and orange juice. So it's like, and they'd pay like $7 for a glass of orange juice with some, water in it. So, if they don't mind doing that, then I'll do that, but I'm not going to drink any alcohol.
I'm sure that's not a hard compromise, It's not that.
Just fake them out. I mean, I'm.
You just don't drink the alcohol just because of your preference, or like?
No, I was an alcoholic. I was in a band in the '80s, and I was a drug addict and an alcoholic, really bad. I went to treatment for 2 years, and I haven't drank or done any alcohol or drugs since then. And that was in October.
I just can't drink alcohol because I have a bad stomach condition. So like, if I drink alcohol, I'll just get fucked up.
Yeah. I just don't drink. I've been sober for 28 years, and I plan on being sober for another 28.
Well done. Well done.
God, they drink so bad in Japan.
Yeah, I did a video on the culture.
Have like
explained a lot about
alcohol poisoning in one night as Tokyo downtown.
Yeah. Well, I did a story on. I think Ego's seen that video. I did a video on why that is part of the culture and why that happens.
Yeah, it was very insightful, actually. I mean, the Japanese culture, God Almighty, it's been fucked up.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah,
Basically,
I had the same view on what you said in the video. Yeah, I remember.
The reason why it is because the culture is set up here where if you go to college, you have to say what your major is when you go into college, and you can't change it. It's not like America. You can't, it's not like other countries where you can go in and first couple of years you just kind of dick around. You're trying to find out what you want to do with your life. They expect you to know. You're supposed to know. So if you say you want to be a doctor or you want to be a lawyer or something like that, and you go into college for that, then even if after 2 years or even 6 months you find out you don't want to do that, it doesn't matter. You have to go through the entire course and finish. So a lot of people have went through and become a nurse or become a doctor or a lawyer, and they went to college, they've done all the college, and they actually can't stand their job. They don't even want to be doing the job. And they actually think, well, someday maybe I'll be able to go back and I'll, save up some money and I'll go back to college for what I really want, which they still don't know if that's what they really want. They might end up going into college and finding out that's not what they wanted to do. So they end up having a job that they hate, can't stand it. So every day they get off of work, they're working an average in Japan of 90 hours a week. That's their work week for most people. So they work 90 hours a week, and the first thing they do when they get out of work is they go to the closest bar and they get drunk, and they just want to like drink
There's
their
a lot of the unpaid overtime that isn't logged, right? So
yeah, and they're just sick of their lives. Their lives are just so depressing because they're working on jobs that they're just corporate shills. They're doing something they hate. They can't stand their life. They don't like anything about it. And the only thing they think they can do to get rid of that feeling is to drink themselves practically to death. And that's
yeah, but
basically what they
it's
do on
not
a nightly basis.
it's not just the job, right? The fact that they hate their job, it's also the work culture in Japan is pretty toxic.
Yeah, well,
Right.
it's the work culture, also the life. If they're married, that adds another nail in the coffin there, where they don't really want to go home to their wife. They don't want to have to face their wife, and a lot of them like haven't had sex with their wife in years, and they're
Probably
unhappy with their life.
separately.
They're unhappy with their marriage. They're unhappy with everything, you know. And then they end up coming into the bar that I work at, and I get to talk to them and try to like, you know, make them feel better, about their whole life, about their whole
Yeah,
purpose.
yeah, that's basically why why people go to hostel clubs so they can stand another day in the office or something.
Yeah, yeah, they'll sit in the hostess club and they'll talk with somebody that makes them feel like it's not gonna fucking be so bad tomorrow, you know.
Well, I've often heard that it's often kind of better to be like a foreigner in Japan because they don't usually put the same kind of crazy expectations on you as they do on their own, right? In terms
Yeah.
of this whole crazy work culture and everything.
No, it's with everybody. Like if you're
Uh,
even if
yeah,
you're a
of course.
foreigner, yeah, it doesn't matter. That's just the way they are here. They expect you to do the same. You know, you're not expected to not do as much as them. You're expected to do just as much, if not more, so that you can prove yourself. You know, so if they work 90 hours, you got to work 95 just to prove yourself.
That's insane. I would not. I would just quit.
Well, I've heard a lot of kind of mixed stories. For some, it's been kind of they had to work more, and some have been a little bit less. It was like, oh, okay, yeah, that guy, he can go home a little bit earlier than everyone else. Or maybe it's just because they had the balls to quit at a reasonable time than staying until 9 in the evening or something.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of stories of Japanese people dying at work, lots and lots every year. You know, where guys will actually work like 34 hours or 40 hours. They don't eat, they don't drink, they're just at work all the time, and they don't want to go home, and they get into this mindset where they think they have to get something done, and they're working on it really hard, and it's not really that important, but they make it out to seem like it's more important than it really is, and they just keep working and working and working, and they're trying to get it done, and the people at the work don't tell them, like, you need to go home, you know, and the guy just stays there, and he dies. He doesn't drink any water, he doesn't eat any food, and there's guys all the time in Japan that end up dying like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
this reminds
I get
me.
the idea sometimes that it's like a charade in a way that they have to put on, the role that they get a lot of work done, but in a lot of cases, the work they do is extremely inefficient as well.
Yeah,
How so?
It's just
Uh,
working for the sake of working for nothing, kind of.
yeah. Well, I
What's
found that in
inefficient?
my job that I did here in Japan when I was here before. I did cars, and I did a lot of like auto body and paint work, and I would work for companies here in Japan. And something that I noticed is they weren't worried about, like in America, you get paid, like if I have to do a fender on a car and the job says it pays 4 hours to do that job, and I do it in 2 hours, well then I got 2 hours worth of pay for nothing, because I still get paid that 4 hours because the insurance company pays that. But here in Japan, they don't have that system, and they think if you take 2 hours to do a job that they think should take 4 or 5 hours, that it's not as good a job. It's not as good. And I'll look at their work, and their work is actually crappy. It's not even good, but they took longer to do it, so they think that that means it's a better job. You know?
Yeah.
That's their mindset. You know? And like I looked at all their work when it got done, and I would point out, I'd be like, that's a horrible job. That doesn't look good at all. You know, and I'd show them how bad it was, and then I'd do the work, and I'd show them like, look, this is much better work. Why are you thinking your job is better just because you took longer? It's not. And they just couldn't get it. They were like, it was like talking to feminists.
Yeah, it's the process that matters, not the actual work.
Yeah, they have a way that they think that's better to do it, and part of the way is taking longer. You know, when you take a long time to do a job, it must be a better job because you took a long time to do it, which is completely retarded. It matters about the quality of your work. You know, it matters about the quality of your work, not how long you took.
One thing that surprised me with Japan is the fact that they still use fax machines.
Yeah. Oh, well, something that I noticed here that's really hilarious since I came back that I didn't know they were still doing. They're actually still using Excel here.
Oh, yeah.
From Windows 7. From Windows 7.
Wait, what's wrong with, what are they using Excel for?
They're using it for everything.
Like,
they found out that Windows wasn't going to be, it wasn't going to work with Microsoft anymore, and everybody was freaking out because that's how they work here in Japan. They use Excel and Microsoft and all that shit. So
I think
the guys don't understand, like, they're not going to have any updates or anything like that anymore for that program.
That's pretty
and they actually went online and they found all of the like books to show like how to work with it and how to do all the stuff. They found all the stuff and they downloaded it all, and they think that's going to solve the problem, and they don't get the fact that this stuff is going to be obsolete, and a lot of the new systems that are coming out, like Windows 12 and Windows 15 and stuff, won't even work with the shit. And I went into a place where they were doing like auto stuff, like auctioning and stuff, and I was going to get a job with them. And they were talking about, like, do you know how to work on Excel? And I was like, yeah, I know how to work on Excel, but nobody uses Excel. It's not even supported. It's not even a system that's supported anymore by you know, Windows. If you have a Windows computer now, you can't even run that on there. And
I thought Excel was still a Windows thing. I didn't.
They separated 3-4 years ago. They separated like 3 or 4 years ago. They don't even accept it anymore.
It's still a Windows thing, but probably the Excel version they use is deprecated because it's old, so old.
Yeah, it doesn't work. It actually, the new system, the Windows 10, which my other computer is, won't work. It doesn't even show like PDF files and stuff. I have to use an outside system.
But Japan is not the only area that does that, though. Like China, like they all use XP still.
Yeah, same in Korea. They do the same stuff. They even set up a special task force to handle Windows XP problems instead of actually changing up their shit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hilarious. I was laughing at them because they were like, "Oh yeah, we got to do this, we got to do that," and I was like, "What?"
Yeah, I mean, Japan seems all high-tech and advanced and all, but in so many ways they're extremely backwards.
Yeah. Well, the thing is they're kind of like, everything here has to be by the book, you know. They don't do anything that's not by the book. So they don't know how to do things that aren't like they have a way that they do things, and they don't change because that's the way it's done, you know. So they don't know. That's the way Senpai did it. Yeah, it's like that's the way they were taught, and that's the only way to do it. You know, there's no other way to do it but that way. And then that's what's really hilarious about it, when you show them that no, there is actually, you know, like doing body work. They actually really believe, the way they're taught in Japan, that there's only one way to do body work, you know. And when I explained to them when I went to body shops and was showing them, like, every college you go to in America has a different way to do body work, and it doesn't matter about how you do it. It matters about what it looks like when it's done. Is it a nice job? Does it look like it's not noticeable? You can't see that the body work was done. Is it a good job, a safe job, stuff like that. That's all that matters. It doesn't matter how it got there. It just matters that it gets there. If the end product is the same as everyone else's, then it doesn't matter how it got there. And they don't understand that. They're like, no, it's got to be just like this. And it's like, no, actually it doesn't.
Yeah, I've heard some horror stories. I was actually thinking about going there and getting an IT job at some point before. Well, seems a little bit too crazy.
Yeah, it's if you came over here to get an IT job, it'd be like getting an IT job in like 2006.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they're still using like really old software that's like outdated and shit, and you're like, what? Why? Like they're still using like old systems and stuff where you're like, what are you doing? Why are you using this system? They're like, well, it's what I learned on. It's like, well, that's fine, and it's what you learned on, but there's like a lot better shit that's out now that's easier to work with, that's much better product, and it's like, why would you do that? It just doesn't make any sense.
I think I read the result of some study done on people in Japan. It was basically measuring their technology level, how proficient they were with using computers, and it was actually surprisingly low. It's like they missed the entire ICT revolution or something.
Yeah. Yeah, like I say, they have their own little ways. It's kind of like the horses that walk around with the little shades on so they can't see anything. That's how they are. They have their little ways of doing things here, and you can't change them. That's just something they do. They won't change. Their way is the only way, and you're never going to convince them that it's not. So they'll just continue to do that, and they're very stubborn in that. And eventually, when they realize that they can't do something anymore, they'll slowly change over, and they'll try to make it look like it was their idea. They're very, very hard-headed here.
They do that in the States too.
Yeah.
It's more like they don't want to hire new people, or like if there's a huge project, they don't want to have to rewrite everything from scratch, which is like a decade-long thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's kind of common in a lot of places, though, that their business revolves around like some horrible, really large legacy application or something like that, or system. But I guess it's just kind of way worse in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Or at least that's how I
bad
see it.
here. Yeah, it's always been bad here. It's kind of been accelerating in the past few years, but it's been getting worse and worse, which is why our kids here are not wanting to get married and not wanting to have anything to do with sex and all this kind of stuff, because it's to that point now where a lot of people just don't want anything to do with anyone anymore.
Yeah, but the young generation in Japan now, they're the ones realizing that they probably won't even get close to accomplishing what their parents accomplished.
Oh yeah, none of them are. They're already knowing that they're not even gonna, they're probably not gonna ever own a house. They're probably not ever gonna own a nice car. They're not gonna make a lot of money. They're not gonna be able to save a lot of money. They're not gonna be able to go on a lot of like trips to foreign countries like their parents did. They're not going to be able to do any of the stuff that their parents did, and that's why a lot of them are just checking out. That's why we've got so many of these herbivores over here, where the people are just wanting to like do just enough to survive. That's all they care about. They just, like with me, I only need about $800 to $1,000 a month, and I can live on that. So if I'm working on a job making $800 to $1,000 a month, that would be all I needed. I don't need any more than that. And at that, I'd still be able to save like $100 or $200 in the bank every month. And if I work on a job that pays me more than that, which most of the jobs I work on do pay me more than that, they pay like about $2,500 a month, then I'm saving all that money in the bank, which is going to allow me later on to not have to work. And I can just like not really retire, but maybe take off for like 5 years and not work.
Yeah, like the only solution is to cut costs.
Yeah. Well, I think they're going to find that. I think that's what's going to actually topple the whole system, is when a lot of people start to do that, where they work on jobs just enough to get like money, to live and not really do anything, not really buy a lot of stuff that they don't need, and they don't really care about any of that anymore. That's going to bring everything down. Everything's going
The
to
system can't sustain itself anymore.
Yeah, it's going to grind to a halt. When they start, like, a lot of the big companies can't find people because nobody's going to college for what they need, and a lot of those people are going to start trying to hire people from foreign countries, but even people in foreign countries aren't going to be doing those jobs either, or going to college for that, and they're going to be having to where they can't find people to do this stuff anymore.
But I mean,
they're going to have to
Japanese
close.
policies are kind of anti, migration. Or
Yeah, I think they're just going to find it to where people are not going to be able to do this stuff anymore. They're going to have to find something else to do, and a lot of these companies are going to shut down. Like McDonald's, there's so many people going being vegan now, that a lot of McDonald's are having to close, and they've actually started to. I think they closed down 378 shops around the world.
oh,
And then I heard that Walmart, Kmart, and Target, they closed down a bunch of shops as well.
I think that was Kmart. They are owned by Sears, and they haven't been doing too
Sears
well.
and Kmart. That's right, Sears and Kmart. Yeah, Sears and
Yes.
Kmart are shutting down a bunch of shops as well.
I'm not sure why that's happening. I think it's definitely with competition. I don't think that's like a
Well, they said they've been having really bad years with the. They used to make all their money off of Christmas, like most companies. They make most of their money for the whole year off of just Christmas and the holidays and stuff. So they didn't make very much money the last few years, and they've actually had to close down a lot of their shops because they're starting to lose money.
well, I still think that's their fault. What about the other large department stores like Best Buy or Walmart that haven't closed down?
Yeah.
No, that's poor management. They just haven't been focusing on their main flywheel. I remember there was a book talking about why companies fail. It's usually when they try to branch into other things that other services that they don't specialize in, and not focusing on what was their bread and butter to begin with.
I think mostly what it is greed. A lot of these people, they have their company, and what they want to do is make more and more and more money, and that money that they're making, they want to make. They don't want to put any of that money into their company. So instead of like making less, like these people that say, like, if we paid our employees $15 an hour wage, we're going to go out of business. But that's going to happen because they don't want to give themselves a pay cut. They're getting like $300 million a year, which nobody needs to get that kind of money per year. And for them to say, well, okay, I'm going to, instead of making $230 million a year, I'm going to make $200 million, and I'm going to take that $30 million and give it to my employees so that they can make money and actually live and have a life. Instead of him doing that, he says, well, we can't do that because I'm gonna raise their pay, but I'm gonna raise my pay too. So now I'm gonna make $260 million, and I can't afford to pay them. They do shit like that. and they make it look like, oh, it's going to bankrupt the company. What's going to bankrupt the company is you being greedy and taking way too fucking much money. And that's basically how it is with Sears. The guys that own Sears are multi-billion-dollar, trillion-dollar-naires or whatever, and they don't want to take a pay cut. They don't want to like say, okay, we've made enough money. Let's try to help our company continue, and let's try to give our employees more money. Maybe give better discounts. Maybe try to make it to where people actually want to shop here. And instead of doing that, they're just like, no, fuck that. We'll just shut a bunch of shops and keep doing what we're always doing, which is losing us money. And they don't care. They're going to keep getting smaller and smaller and smaller until they become Waltons. Wasn't that what it was?
I was muted. I was wondering what was happening. Sorry about that. Yeah, I was going to say that the corporate, that's a very blanket statement, and in some cases, that might be true. However, a corporation these days, especially in the U.S., they're very modular in that board of directors, CEOs, presidents, they can always jump ship to another company, which is why the CEOs get paid what they get paid. I don't think they actually raise their own pay if they raise the wages of their lowest employees. I'm not sure if they do that. I don't think that's the case. The reason their pay is so high is because that was part of the incentive of getting a CEO from one company over to another in the first place. And if you put a cap on that, like let's say HP was struggling, right? And two of their CEOs didn't perform well according to the board of directors. And so they decided to hire a third one. Now, if you cap their pay at a certain rate, which is what some liberals want to do, HP would never get a new CEO because there'd be no incentive for another CEO to hop over. You understand?
Yeah.
And like HP is doing okay now under new leadership. The whole they had a campaign of like reinvent yourself that failed. They have a few campaigns that failed, and I think the third CEO is the one that succeeded. So you do need, the CEO isn't just there to just sit at the head and collect money. That's not their job. They are the leadership. So.
Okay, what does a CEO exactly do? Is he like? I'm sorry, I just like missed it because I had to help my mom with something.
Think of them.
No, you just go ahead.
Actually, I'm not 100% clear. I know they have a lot of decision power. Like it's for some, depending on the company, a CEO is still like has a system of check and balances with the board of directors, and they have some sort of voting system. But what the CEO does is they take the helm of both the marketing, production, and quality check, of all three of those, and in some way try to like, if you have a new CEO, you try to overhaul what the company does in order to, I don't know, take more of the market share, for example. For example, I think Apple hired Steve Jobs back at the CEO at a certain point, as an example, and I think since then, Apple has been doing well ever since like the whole iPhone was released. But before that, I believe Apple had a different CEO, and they weren't doing so well. So
yeah, the iPod is basically what saved Apple.
It's what saved Apple, and they had to. It's what saved Apple, and they had to bring Steve Jobs back. And in order to do that, they have to offer him more than what he was making before, or just something. I'm not really sure, but
yeah,
so
but
that's why
he in turn then, made the iPod happen. So
yes, he did. But from an outside point of view, they're looking at the lowest level employees, the Mac geniuses at the Apple Store, making, I don't know, less than 15. I don't know what they make, and then the Apple CEO making millions, and they think that's unfair. But you see, there was a reason why they had to make that much. Like, if let's say you're at one company, you're doing okay, you're making $100 million a year. Why would you? And it's capped at that. Why would you switch to another company, right? If the other company is like, look, we're gonna go down. Our leadership here, the CEO sucks. We want to hire someone else. We'll pay you 110, but that's illegal now. So they're fucked. You see?
I guess it just doesn't have to be that way, but I mean the system is set up that way. That's just how it works.
Yeah. So if you do that, there are some companies that will fail and have no way of saving themselves.